Space was silent. As always, the black ocean of stars stretched in every direction, endless and cold. But silence ended when a broken cry for help crossed the void. The signal was faint, full of static, yet clear enough to chill anyone who heard it. This is Colony Ship Ardent Flame. We are under attack. Not human. Repeat, not human. Please, send help. We are... The message cut off in a burst of noise. For hours, Earth's listening posts replayed the signal, trying to clean the noise, trying to find more words. But no matter how much they worked, the message always ended the same way. Not human. Please, send help. Admiral Reeves stood tall in the command center. His face was calm, but his eyes were dark with worry. He looked at the glowing star map, a single red point blinking at the far edge of human space. That was the Ardent Flame's last location. A new colony, a hopeful beginning for 50,000 men, women, and children. Now it was nothing but silence and a scream across the stars. 50,000 souls, Reeves whispered, almost to himself. They were supposed to build a future. Now, his voice faded, but then grew sharp. We cannot leave them. Prepare the rescue fleet. Across the Navy docks, 5 warships came alive. Engines lit up like suns, weapons loaded, crews strapped in. Soldiers moved with tense energy. A call for help had been heard, and humanity would answer. The jump to faster-than-light travel took 3 days. 3 long days with no new signals, no answers. The fleet lived in silence, broken only by the quiet prayers of soldiers and the nervous chatter of young officers. Everyone asked the same questions, but no one dared to speak them aloud. Who could do this? Why only static after the first cry? Are they already dead? On the 3rd day, the rescue fleet arrived. Space unfolded into a new star system, with a pale sun and 3 dead planets circling. But the system felt wrong. It was empty, too empty. No colony ship, no friendly beacon. Where is the Ardent Flame? Captain Lyra asked on the bridge of the warship Vigilant. Her voice was sharp, but there was fear beneath it. The answer came from the sensor officer, a pale young man who stared wide-eyed at his console. Admiral, there's a ship here, but it's not human. On the main screen, the image grew. It was massive, larger than any human design. Black and twisted, its surface looked broken, almost like bone grown into metal. Strange blue light pulsed inside it, slow and steady, like the heartbeat of some sleeping beast. That's not a ship, one officer whispered. That's something else. Scan it, Reeves ordered. His voice was steady, though his stomach tightened. Scans came in. Strange readings, unknown alloys, impossible energy flows. But the most chilling discovery was not the alien structure itself. So, the sensor officer said in a hollow voice, the distress signal, it came from inside that thing. The bridge went silent. The Ardent Flames colonists were not gone. They were inside, but were they alive? Reeves stared at the alien craft, his jaw hard. If our people are trapped in there, we bring them home. Ready the boarding teams. Moments later, squads of armored soldiers crossed the void in small shuttles. Their boots touched the alien hull with heavy thuds. The metal underfoot shifted slightly, as if it were not truly solid. It was warm, far too warm for the vacuum of space. This isn't right, one soldier muttered, his voice shaky through the comms. It's like the ship is alive. The team leader ignored the comment. Cut through that hatch. Plasma torches hissed, and metal burned away. A hole opened. Darkness spilled out, heavy and thick, swallowing the lights. The soldiers stepped inside, weapons raised. Their lights revealed long corridors that bent unnaturally, as if designed by something that did not understand straight lines. The walls were carved with strange markings, symbols like claws scratching warnings into flesh. Then they heard it, a voice, weak, broken, echoing through the black holes. Help us. Every soldier froze. It was human, a survivor, but the sound was wrong. The voice was twisted, words dragged too slowly, as if the throat speaking them was no longer fully human. The team leader swallowed hard and raised his weapon higher. His report went back to Admiral Reeves. Sir, we found survivors, but his voice shook for the first time. I don't think they're human anymore. The comms went dead silent. On the Vigilance Bridge, every officer felt the same cold realization. This was not a rescue mission. This was the beginning of something far worse. The alien ship floated in the black ocean of space like a dead whale. No movement, no engines, no signals, only the strange blue glow that pulsed inside its body. To the rescue fleet, it looked less like a vessel and more like a tomb. Admiral Reeves watched the silent monster from the bridge of the Vigilant. His jaw was tight, his eyes fixed. "Boarding team, report." Static crackled, then the leader's voice returned. "We are inside, Admiral. Structure is unstable, corridors shift. Some walls feel soft, almost alive. No sign of the colonists yet, only sounds." "Sounds?" Reeves asked. "Yes, sir. Whispers, echoes, and that voice we heard before. It comes and goes. We can't trace it." Reeves closed his eyes for a moment. Something inside him whispered that this was not rescue. This was discovery, and discovery could kill. But he could not stop now. Too many lives had been lost already. Inside the alien vessel, the boarding team moved deeper. Their lights cut through the dark, but the shadows seemed to swallow them instantly. The corridors bent in strange curves, like the inside of a rib cage. The air was thin, almost breathable, but foul with a sweet, rotten smell. Private Kellen gagged inside his helmet. Smells like meat left too long in the sun. "Quiet," the leader snapped. "Stay focused." They passed markings on the walls, carved deep. At first they thought it was writing, but soon they realized it was not. The carvings were fingernail marks. Human fingernails, clawing, scraping, desperate to escape. Private Kellen whispered, "Sir, those are from people. Humans were here." The leader's heart pounded. He gave no answer. Back on the Vigilant, sensors tried to scan deeper into the alien craft. But the readings were confused. Every time they mapped the inside, the structure shifted. Corridors appeared where none had been before. Whole chambers vanished as if the ship itself did not want to be understood. Captain Lyra stood near Reeves, her face pale. "Admiral, it's like the ship is rewriting itself, resisting us." Reeves said nothing. He only stared. Inside, the soldiers reached a large chamber. Their light spread across a wide, dome-like space. In the center lay a pile of shapes. At first, they looked like bodies. Then the bodies moved. A dozen figures stirred, lifting their heads slowly. Eyes glowed faintly in the dark. Faces, not fully human. Skin stretched, bones reshaped, mouths too wide. Some had arms that bent wrong, others had voices that moaned without words. One shape crawled forward. It was a woman, her clothes torn, her body twisted. Her eyes were human still, filled with unbearable pain. She lifted her hand and whispered, "Please, kill us before they come back." Every soldier froze. Their weapons shook. Private Kellen whispered a curse under his breath. The leader forced his voice steady. "Who did this to you?" The woman's mouth opened too wide, splitting at the edges, blood dripping. Her voice cracked. "Not human, not human. They are still here." Then the walls shook. The entire ship groaned like a living creature waking from sleep. The blue glow inside its body pulsed faster, like a heartbeat racing. "Admiral," the leader shouted over comms, "we are survivors, but they're different. The ship is active. Something's happening." Reeves turned sharply to his crew. "Pull them out. Now." But it was too late. The walls of the chamber rippled. Shapes began to grow from the dark metal, long limbs stretching like vines, pulling toward the soldiers. A low sound echoed, like 1,000 voices whispering at once. Private Kellen screamed, firing his rifle. Bolts of energy lit the chamber, blasting holes in the living walls. The mutated survivors cried out in terror, covering their ears. "Fall back!" the leader ordered. The team retreated through twisting corridors as the ship changed around them. Doors sealed, paths closed, new ones opened in strange directions. The ship was alive, and it was hunting them. On the Vigilant, alarms blared. "Admiral, the alien ship is powering up," the sense officer yelled. "Energy levels rising fast. We don't know what it's doing." Reeves gritted his teeth. "Get our people out of there. Now! Inside, the soldiers ran, carrying the twisted woman with them. She cried softly, whispering the same words again and again. They will return. They will return. As the team reached the hatch, the ship shuddered violently. Something massive was moving in its depths. Something waking. The last soldier leapt into the shuttle, sealing the hatch just as the alien corridors closed tight. The shuttle pulled away, engine screaming. On the bridge, Reeves watched the screen as the shuttle escaped. Behind it, the alien vessel pulsed with light, brighter and brighter. So, Captain Lyra whispered, that's not a dead ship. It was waiting. Reeves stared at the monstrous silhouette, his face pale but hard. He finally spoke. Then we haven't rescued anyone. We've just opened the door. The alien ship's heartbeat grew louder, brighter, shaking the stars themselves. And for the first time, the fleet realized the real enemy had not yet arrived. The fleet floated in silence around the Aurora. The silver colony ship turned slowly in the void, its lights flickering, its surface gleaming under distant starlight. But inside, no one knew what lived there anymore. Commander Hale stood at the center of his ship's control room, his fists clenched. 2 boarding teams were gone. Dozens of his best soldiers had walked into that ship, and none had returned. The only thing left was static and a voice that didn't belong to humans. All ships are receiving the same message again, a technician said nervously. The voice echoed over the speakers. Return to Earth. No help is needed. The colony ship is safe. The tone was calm, almost gentle, but every word felt like ice sliding down the spine. General Rourke, watching from Oath Command, appeared on the main screen. His jaw was set like stone. Commander Hale, what do you see? Nothing alive, Hale replied, his voice low. No colonists, no crew, just shadows wearing their voices. The command room grew quiet. Everyone knew what he meant. Something was imitating the humans aboard the Aurora. Something that wanted the fleet to leave. But why? Hale's second officer, Lieutenant Arden, broke the silence. So, if this spreads, if whatever's inside that ship escapes, it could reach Earth. The thought cut through the room like a blade. General Rourke gave the order no one wanted to hear. Prepare to destroy the Aurora. The words hung heavy. Destroying a colony ship meant erasing thousands of lives. Families, children, every soul who had boarded that ship with dreams of a new world. But deep down, everyone knew they were already gone. Commander Hale swallowed hard. Yes, sir. The fleet moved into attack position. Warships spread out, targeting systems locking onto the colony ship. Missiles armed. Energy cannons charged. But before the first shot could be fired, the Aurora moved. The silent ship, which had been drifting like a corpse, suddenly came alive. Its engines flared, burning bright. The entire hull glowed faintly as if something beneath the surface was waking up. Target is powering up, shouted Arden. No, Hale whispered, his eyes narrowing. It's not the ship. It's what's inside. On the fleet sensors, strange signals erupted. Not human, not machine. A pattern no one could understand. It was as if the ship itself was speaking in a language of static and screams. Then the voice returned, louder, sharper, filling every speaker across the fleet. You will not harm us. We are safe. We are many. Leave. The word many made the blood drain from Hale's face. What do you mean, many? Arden asked quietly. No one answered. The fleet hesitated. Fingers hovered over firing triggers. Generals on Oath Command whispered among themselves. But before they could act, the Aurora made its move. Its docking bays opened, and something came out. At first, the fleet thought they were escape pods. Small, round shapes drifting into space. But as they moved closer, their surfaces shifted. Metal peeled like skin. Long, sharp limbs unfolded. They are not pods, Arden gasped. They're alive. The shapes stretched into grotesque figures, half machine, half organism. They pulsed with light, their movements unnatural, insect-like. They were built from the Aurora's own metal, twisted into something alien. And there were dozens of them. Open fire. Hale roared. The fleet unleashed hell. Beams of energy tore through the void. Missiles streaked forward. Explosions lit up the darkness like a storm. Several of the creatures shattered under the barrage, breaking apart into glowing fragments. But the rest kept coming. The alien shapes darted toward the fleet with terrifying speed. They weren't ships. They weren't alive in any way humanity understood. They were something in between, a merging of colonist and machine, flesh and steel. "They are boarding us," one pilot screamed over comms. On Hale's screen, he saw it, a creature latching onto one of the smaller frigates. Its limbs stabbed into the hull, metal bending like paper. A moment later, the ship went dark. No signals, no life signs. "They are taking the ships the same way they took the colony," Arden said, horror in his voice. Hale's stomach twisted. If one infected ship returned to Earth, humanity would be finished. "Pull the fleet back," he ordered. "But, sir, the Aurora." "Now!" Hale barked. The warships turned, engines flaring. But the Aurora was not letting them go so easily. Its surface shifted, strange patterns glowing across its hull. It was no longer just a ship. It was a hive, alive, thinking. And it was hunting. From deep inside its broken holes, a new signal pulsed. Not words, not voices. A simple rhythm, like a heartbeat. The fleet escaped, for now. But the Aurora remained, its dark pulse echoing through space. And somewhere inside, in the frozen silence, the voices of the colonists whispered together as one. "We are many." The fleet limped back from the Aurora. Many ships were damaged. Some were missing. And those who survived could not stop thinking about what they had seen. Colonists turned into machines, voices stolen, a hive that lived inside a ship. Commander Hale sat in the dark of his cabin, staring at the reports. 2 boarding parties gone. 3 warships lost. Dozens of soldiers unaccounted for. He rubbed his face, his eyes burning with exhaustion. A soft chime broke the silence. "Incoming transmission from Earth Command," the computer said. General Rourke appeared on the screen, his voice sharp. "Commander Hale, the Council has seen your report. They demand answers. What exactly attacked the Aurora?" Hale shook his head. "I don't know. They are not like anything we've faced before. They use the colonists' bodies, their voices. They are not ships, not alive, but both at the same time. A hive, growing, spreading." General Rourke's face darkened. "And can't be destroyed." Hale hesitated. His memory flashed to the battle, how easily the creatures had spread, how quickly they consumed the frigate. "Maybe, but if we fail, it will spread beyond control." Behind Rourke, voices of other leaders echoed in anger. Some wanted to attack immediately, to burn the hive before it reached human space. Others wanted to study it, to learn what it was, where it came from, and if it could be used. At last, Rourke silenced them. His eyes locked on Hale. "Commander, you were there. Should we destroy it?" The weight of the question pressed down on Hale. Thousands of colonists were already lost. But he also knew one truth. If humanity hesitated, the hive would not. "Yes, sir," he said. "We must destroy it. Now." The order spread across Earth. Factories lit up, weapons built, fleets recalled. For the first time in centuries, humanity prepared for total war. But not everyone agreed. In the hidden chambers of the Galactic Council, alien voices argued. The recordings from the Aurora had shaken them. Some recognized the signals. Some remembered old stories of a dark race that consumed worlds, a threat thought long dead. One alien, tall and insect-like, hissed in fear. "The humans have awakened it. They will bring doom to us all." Another, scaled and ancient, shook his head. "Or perhaps the humans are the only ones who can fight it. They were always dangerous, always too fierce to control. Maybe this is why." The council fell into silence. For once, even the most powerful civilizations had no answer. Meanwhile, the Aurora was moving. The hive ship, glowing faintly in the dark, turned its nose toward human space. It no longer drifted silently. Its engines pulsed with unnatural rhythm, each burst echoing like a heartbeat. With every passing hour, it grew stronger. Its surface shifted, building new shapes, more creatures, more weapons, more horrors waiting to be unleashed. Inside, the voices of the colonists whispered together. Men, women, children, all as one. We are many. We are safe. We are coming. Back on Earth, Hale stood before his soldiers. Hundreds of men and women filled the great hall, their eyes fixed on him. They had seen the footage. They had heard the whispers. Fear hung in the air like smoke. Hale's voice cut through the silence. You've all seen what waits in the dark. You know what it can do. We don't fight for one colony. We don't fight for one ship. We fight for Earth. For every home, every family. If the hive reaches us, we are finished. We cannot run. We cannot hide. We stand, or we die. The soldiers rose as one, fists pounding their chests. The fear was still there, but now it burned with fury. Humanity had faced monsters before, and every time they had fought back. But even as they prepared, a terrible report arrived. One of the missing frigates, the ship taken by the hive, had been found. It drifted at the edge of human space, engines dead, lights dark. A recovery team approached, thinking it abandoned. But when they hailed it, the ship answered, "We are safe. We are many. We are coming." Then the frigate's engines roared to life, faster and stronger than before. It turned toward Earth. The command center erupted in chaos. Officers shouted, alarms blared, warnings filled the screens. Commander Hale stood frozen, his heart pounding. The hive had not only taken the colony ship, it was spreading, using humanity's own ships against them. Now, it wasn't just the Aurora. It was already here. The warning sirens echoed across Earth's defense stations. The hive control frigate was coming. Once, it had been a proud human warship, crewed by brave men and women. Now, it was something else, its metal twisted, its hull glowing with strange, pulsing lights as if veins of fire ran through it. Commander Hale watched from orbit as a monstrous ship crossed into human space. His fleet had rearmed, but they were not ready for this. Not fully. Not yet. All stations. Report. Hale barked. Defense grid online, one officer answered. Orbital cannons charging. Fighter squadrons ready to launch. Hale nodded. His face was calm, but his chest was heavy. This was not just another mission. This was the first time humanity would fight the hive on its own doorstep. If they failed, Earth would burn. The hive frigate slowed, as if it knew it was being watched. For a moment, everything was quiet. Then, the voices began again, spilling from every channel, every speaker, even inside soldiers' helmets. We are safe. We are many. Join us. Some soldiers flinched. Others gritted their teeth. But no one broke. Humanity had heard the hive's lies before. Fire. Hale roared. The sky lit up. Missiles streaked toward the hive frigate. Energy cannons cut through the void. Dozens of fighter ships dove in formation, unleashing a storm of fire. The frigate shuddered under the assault. Explosions rocked its surface. For a moment, hope rose in human hearts. Maybe it would fall. Maybe it was still just a ship. Then it changed. The frigate's hull cracked open like a shell. From the wound, long, jagged limbs unfolded. They stretched like claws, tearing metal apart, reshaping the ship into something alive. A terrible screech echoed through the void, not sound, but a vibration that rattled bones even across the fleet's comms. The soldiers froze. The hive frigate was no longer a ship. It was a creature. Keep firing. Hale snapped, but the creature moved faster now. Its claws tore through missiles. Its limbs grabbed fighters, crushing them like toys. Every human weapon felt too small, too weak. Inside Earth Command, General Rourke clenched his fists. If it reaches Earth's orbit, we'll lose everything. Push it back. The battle raged. Fighters darted, weaving between the creature's strikes. Cannons saw glowing holes in its body, but every wound healed, metal and flesh twisting together. It fought like it was alive. And then it spoke again. Stop resisting. You cannot win. You will be safe with us. The words crawled inside the soldiers' minds. Some swore they heard familiar voices, the voices of lost friends, of family, even of the colonists from the Aurora. One pilot screamed, "That's my brother's voice. That's him." "No," another shouted. "It's lying. Stay focused." But the distraction was deadly. The creature struck, tearing apart 3 more fighters in a single sweep. Hale stood at the command console, his eyes locked on the nightmare outside. They couldn't win with firepower alone, not against something that could twist itself into new shapes. "Arden," he said to his lieutenant, "what if we target the core? The human parts. Maybe it's still using the frigate's reactor." Arden hesitated. "That's risky. If we miss, we waste everything." "We don't have a choice," Hale replied. He opened the comms. "All ships," this is Hale, "aim for the reactor core. Break through its chest, and we might end this." The order went out. The fleet regrouped. Dozens of missiles streaked forward, punching holes through the monster's armor. Energy cannons tore at its center. Piece by piece, they fought toward the core. Finally, a lucky shot broke through. For an instant, the reactor was exposed, glowing deep inside the twisted body. "Now!" Hale roared. Every ship fired at once. A storm of fire struck the exposed heart of the creature. For the first time, it screamed. The sound wasn't just noise. It was pain, real pain. The monster convulsed, limbs flailing, its body cracking apart. Pieces of it broke free, drifting lifeless into the void. The soldiers cheered. Hope surged. They could win. They could fight back. But the cheer died quickly, because as the creature burned, something happened. From its broken body, glowing fragments floated free. Dozens, hundreds, tiny shards of twisted flesh and metal, each pulsing with faint light. "What are those?" Arden whispered. Sensors lit up an alarm. Each fragment carried energy. Each fragment was alive. The hive wasn't dying. It was seeding. The fragments spread in all directions, drifting toward Earth, toward the moons, toward the fleet itself. And in every soldier's headset, a single whisper returned, soft but endless. "We are many." The wreckage of the hive frigate floated in space, glowing like dying embers. Humanity had won its first battle, but it did not feel like victory. The fragments drifted outward, tiny pieces of metal and flesh, each pulsing with strange light. At first, they looked harmless, like broken scrap. But Commander Hale knew better. "They're alive," he whispered. Sensors confirmed it. Each fragment carried energy, heat, and movement. They weren't debris. They were seeds. "Track every piece," Hale ordered. "Destroy them before they land anywhere." The fleet fired. Cannons tore through dozens of fragments, breaking them into dust. Missiles detonated in clusters, scattering the glowing remains. For a moment, it seemed like they could burn it all away. But not all fragments were caught. Some were too small. Some moved too fast. Some slipped past the fleet and vanished into the dark. Hours later, reports began to arrive. A listening station on the edge of Mars sent a broken transmission. Static, then screams, then silence. A mining outpost on Europa lost all contact. When another ship checked, the station lights were still on, but no one answered. On Earth's moon, engineers reported finding strange black growths crawling along the walls of a supply hangar. By the time soldiers arrived, the hangar was sealed from the inside. The fragments had landed, and they were growing. General Rourke slammed his fist on the table inside Earth Command. The room was filled with voices, scientists, military leaders, even alien ambassadors from the Galactic Council. "They are spreading faster than we can contain," one scientist warned. "Every fragment becomes a nest, and every nest becomes a hive." The alien envoy, a tall being with silver skin, spoke with fear in its voice. "You must burn your colonies, all of them, before it is too late." The humans stared at it in shock. Burn their own colonies? Kill their own people? Rourke's eyes narrowed. "That is not an option." The envoy shook its head. "It is the only option. You do not understand what you face. We have seen them before." The room fell silent. "You've seen them?" Hale asked, his voice sharp. The envoy nodded slowly. "Long ago, we called them the Devourers. They were thought destroyed. We were wrong. If you hesitate, they will not only consume humanity, they will consume the galaxy." Meanwhile, the fragments continued their work. On the mining outpost, cameras showed workers moving strangely. Their eyes were glassy, their skin pale. Tools fell from their hands as black veins spread across their arms. They spoke in unison, their voices calm. We are safe. We are many. On Europa, the entire station turned dark. But from orbit, faint lights glowed across the ice, like veins spreading beneath the surface. On the moon, soldiers finally broke through the sealed hangar. Inside, they found only silence. Every worker was gone. Machines were twisted into strange shapes, sharp and alive, and on the wall, written in blood, were 3 words. We are here. Commander Hale watched the reports with cold fury. His people were being taken, one colony at a time. He slammed his hand on the console. We can't just defend. We have to strike back. We have to find the source. His Lieutenant Arden looked doubtful. The source is the Aurora, and it's still moving. Every day, it gets closer to human space. Then we go after it, Hale growled, before the fragments grow too strong, before Earth itself is lost. General Rourke hesitated. The plan was dangerous. Sending ships into the heart of the hive could mean losing everything. But doing nothing meant humanity would be consumed, piece by piece. At last, the general gave the order. Very well. Prepare an assault fleet. Humanity will take the fight to the hive. But even as Hale prepared, the hive was preparing too. Inside the Aurora, the colonists' voices sang together in the dark. Their whispers echoed through the halls, endless and cold. We are safe. We are many. We are coming. And in the black void, the ship was no longer just a ship. Its hull had reshaped itself into a monstrous form, bristling with spines and limbs. It was a colony no longer. It was a weapon. Back on Earth, Hale stood before his soldiers once more. His voice was steady, but his eyes burned with determination. They are spreading. They are coming. But humanity will not fall. We will strike them where they live. We will burn the hive before it reaches us. This is not just a fight for Earth. It is a fight for every human world. The soldiers roared in answer. But outside, beyond the stars, the whispers of the hive only grew louder. The fleet gathered above Earth, 1,000 ships gleaming against the stars. Some were old warships from past conflicts, their hulls scarred but still strong. Others were new, sleek, and armed with the latest weapons. Together, they formed humanity's last hope. Commander Hale stood on the bridge of the Vanguard, his eyes fixed on the main screen. Beyond the black void, far away but closing fast, was the shape of the hive ship, the twisted remains of the Aurora. It no longer looked like a colony vessel. It had grown larger, darker, alive. Fleet status. Hale asked. All ships ready, Arden replied. But some captains are nervous. They've seen the reports. They know what's waiting for us. Hale's jaw tightened. Fear won't save us. Fire will. The fleet moved forward, engines burning bright. The silence of space carried no sound, but Hale could feel the tension. Every crew member, every soldier, knew the truth. If they failed, Earth was finished. As they crossed into the hive shadow, the ship came alive. The surface of the Aurora opened, revealing glowing scars that pulsed like veins. Long, black limbs unfolded from its sides. The ship screamed, not with sound, but with a pulse of energy that rattled through every human vessel. Electronics spiking. Arden shouted, shields dropping. Hold formation. Hale barked. The hive struck first. Hundreds of living projectiles launched from its body, spines, pods, and creatures wrapped in black shells. They moved faster than missiles, weaving through space as if they could think. Intercept them. Hale ordered. The human fleet unleashed its fury. Cannons fired, tearing apart dozens of pods. Missiles streaked across the void, exploding in blinding light. Fighters launched in swarms, weaving between enemy projectiles. For a moment, it looked like humanity could push them back. But then, the pods that survived reached the ships. They latched onto the hulls, digging in like claws. Black veins spread across metal, and alarms screamed. Crews fired emergency charges, burning some of the infestations off, but others pushed deeper, cracking airlocks, forcing their way inside. On the Vanguard, Hale heard the reports flooding in. USS Pioneer breached, boarding creatures inside. Colony cruiser Falcon, engine room lost. Destroyer hammer. Gone dark. No response. It was chaos. Stay focused. Hale growled. Our target is a hive itself. Cut off the head, and the body will fall. He pointed to the glowing core at the center of the hive ship. That's where we strike. All firepower, now. The fleet obeyed. Dozens of ships turned their cannons on the glowing core. A storm of light and fire roared across space, slamming into the hive's heart. The creature ship shuddered, its limbs curling inward, its glow flickering. For a heartbeat, hope surged. Then the hive fought back. The aurora opened wider, splitting apart into sections. From within, new shapes emerged, smaller hive ships, grown from the fragments. They unfolded like wings and swarmed toward the fleet. They've been growing inside the ship, Arden whispered in horror. It wasn't just one hive. It's an army. The swarm crashed into the human formation. Ships were torn apart. Fighters vanished in bursts of flame. The void filled with wreckage. Hale clenched his fists. We knew this wouldn't be easy. Keep firing. The Vanguard's cannons roared, tearing through one of the smaller hive ships. It exploded into a cloud of black fragments, but even those fragments twitched, moving as if alive. On another screen, Hale saw the Falcon, half covered in black growths, still fighting. Its captain's last transmission came through, her voice steady despite the chaos. For oath, fire everything. Her ship detonated, a massive blast ripping apart 3 hive creatures at once. The bridge fell silent for a moment. Humanity was paying for every victory with blood. Inside the hive, the whispers grew louder. The voices of the colonists, now part of the swarm, echoed across the battlefield. You cannot win. You are already ours. Hale gritted his teeth. He refused to believe it. No, he growled. Humanity does not belong to you. He turned to Arden, ready the final strike. Arden's eyes widened. You mean the Nova charge? If we miss, we won't miss. Hale's voice was iron. The Nova charge was their most powerful weapon, a weapon never meant to be used near Earth. If it detonated too close, the shockwave could destroy half the fleet. But it was their only chance to pierce the hive's heart. As the Nova warhead was armed, the hive seemed to sense a danger. It unleashed everything: spines, creatures, energy blasts that cracked human shields. The Vanguard shook under the assault. Panels exploded. Smoke filled the air. Crew members were thrown from their stations. But Hale stood firm. Target locked, Arden shouted. Fire, Hale ordered. The Nova warhead launched, a glowing sphere tearing across space. Hive creatures rushed to intercept it, throwing themselves in its path. One by one, they exploded against its surface. The warhead slowed, weakened, but it kept moving. Closer, closer. Then, just before it struck the hive's glowing core, something happened. The hive opened. The warhead vanished inside. The bridge froze. No detonation, Arden whispered. They absorbed it. On the main screen, the hive glowed brighter. The stolen energy pulsed through its veins. Its limbs spread wide, more powerful than before. They used our weapon, Hale realized, his voice cold. They fed on it. The fleet fell silent. The hive was no longer just surviving. It was evolving, faster, stronger, unstoppable. The hive burned like a dark star in the void, its glow spreading across the human fleet. What was once the Aurora now pulsed with stolen power, alive with the energy of the Nova charge. Commander Hale stared at the screen. His strongest weapon had only made the enemy stronger. Around him, reports poured in, ships destroyed, captains lost, colonies going dark one by one. Earth was next. On the surface of Earth, cities prepared for the worst. Families huddled in shelters. Defense cannons were raised on every continent. The sky was filled with satellites armed for war. Every man and woman knew this could be their last day. In the great halls of Earth Command, General Rourke stood before the council. His voice was iron. We cannot run. We cannot hide. If we lose Earth, humanity is finished. We fight here. We fight now. The council members nodded grimly. There would be no retreat. Back in orbit, the human fleet pulled back to form a wall between the hive and Earth. The ships floated like a shield, broken but unyielding. Hale spoke to the fleet. His voice carried through every comm, steady despite the chaos. We have faced monsters before. We have been called dangerous, reckless, even doomed. But today, we prove the truth. We are human, and we do not bow. The Hive will not take our world, not while we still breathe. A roar of voices answered him. Across the fleet, soldiers tightened their grips, pilots checked their weapons, and captains prepared for their last orders. The Hive moved. It surged forward, limbs stretching, firing waves of black fire. Living projectiles rained down like meteors. The human fleet responded with everything it had. Lasers cut through the dark. Missiles streaked across the stars. The void lit up with fire and death. But still, the Hive came. Pods crashed into ships, cracking them open. Soldiers fought hand-to-hand with twisted creatures in narrow halls. Screams echoed across open channels. One by one, ships fell. The Hammer, the Pioneer, the Atlas, each went down, but not without taking part of the Hive with them. The battle became a storm, and humanity stood in the center of it. On the Vanguard, Hale's crew worked desperately. Arden wiped blood from his forehead, his hands flying over controls. "Commander, we can't hold much longer. Shields are collapsing." "I know," Hale said quietly. His eyes narrowed at the screen, where the Hive loomed ever closer. There was only one choice left. "Hail to all ships," he said over the comm. "It's time for the final plan. The Hive feeds on our weapons, but there's one thing it cannot feed on." The fleet listened in silence. Our lives, our sacrifice. We hit it from all sides. We burn our ships into its heart. We will not survive, but Earth will. Humanity will. Gasps and murmurs filled the channels. To turn the fleet into living weapons was madness. But no one argued. They all knew it was the only way. The final charge began. Ships turned, engines flaring bright. Wounded vessels, nearly dead, pushed forward with all the power they had left. They rammed into the Hive's limbs, tearing them apart in explosions of light. The Falcon II dove straight into a swarm of pods, detonating its core and opening a path for others. The ironclad pierced deep into the Hive's armor before vanishing in fire. Each sacrifice weakened the monster. The glow of its veins began to flicker. But it was still alive, still moving. On the Vanguard, alarm screamed. The Hive had locked onto them, its core glowing bright. Hale looked around the bridge. His crew, tired, bloody, but loyal, waited for his word. He gave a faint smile. "For Earth," he whispered. "For Earth." They echoed. The Vanguard turned and sped straight at the Hive. Inside the Hive, the voices of the colonists whispered, "We are safe. We are many." But as the Vanguard closed in, another voice rose. It was human, defiant, burning. "No, we are free." The Vanguard's engines overloaded. Light burst from its hull. The ship became a star. The explosion ripped through the Hive's core. Black limbs shattered. Voices screamed and fell silent. The stolen energy turned unstable, tearing the creature apart from within. The Hive collapsed in on itself, vanishing in a blinding flash that lit the skies above Earth. When the light faded, silence returned to the stars. Half the fleet was gone. The Vanguard was gone. But Earth was still there. Humanity still breathed. General Rourke stood in Earth Command, his voice heavy with both grief and pride. They gave everything. And because of them, we are still here. Humanity lives. Across the planet, people emerged from shelters and looked to the sky. It was quiet now, the Hive destroyed. But the memory of sacrifice would never fade. And far in the darkness, fragments of the Hive still drifted, glowing faintly, waiting.